Frank was born, the youngest, and he got a job at the pension board in Kakana, and life began to look up. But still it was a depression, and they had lost enough money that he had to remortgage his house. And there was somebody coming through the area remortgaging houses. They did that, but they lost the house anyway. What happened is my grandfather went on a picnic with the pension board up to High Cliff, and he fell into a crevasse and tore the ligaments in his knee. At that time, there was no disability, so there was no money coming in. There was nothing. There was no workman's comp, nothing. And he had all of his family. He was laid up, and he lost his house, and they had to move. By now, it's 7 children, my grandmother and him, and they found another place to live. And they moved all of the stuff to this house. Is it on Tobacco Street? On Greeno Street. And the night he moved, he was heartsick. He wasn't providing for his family. He was hurt. He had to move. It was a great loss for him, many things. And his heart hurt. But more than that, he had a heart attack. And within a week, he was dead. Now, he left my grandmother and 7 children. The 2 older girls, my Aunt Mary, who's here, and my mother, were old enough to work, and they were bringing money into the family. But my grandmother, my mother says she remembers her sitting in the rocking chair, crying, and I never saw my grandmother cry. She cried, "What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" But then she got up, and she was known as a good cook, so people hired her to cook. She was known to keep a good house, so people hired her to clean house. And she raised that family, and she kept that family strong. She continued cooking, and she was even invited to cook at Lawrence College when she was in her 60s. She was a strong woman, and she kept that family together. And that's where we come from. Scott, myself, my children, that is our heritage. So that is something that as little children that you should know about your great-grandmother. Now there's other things we know about our great-grandmother, about your great-grandmother also. One thing is she loves style. She loves to be well-dressed. You only have to see her today to see that her jacket and her pants, everything matches. She loves to look beautiful, and she is beautiful. But she also tells the story in those memoirs of when she went to high school, again in the Depression, that she had one dress that she wore from Monday to Friday, the same dress all year long. How many of us here would do that? One dress. Is it any wonder that she learned to sew? And she learned to sew in high school. There are pictures, and you can see the video that my daughter-in-law put together of her sewing. She sewed the dress, her own prom dress, and her sister Mary's prom dress. She sewed the capes that they wore. She sewed matching outfits for Grace and Jane and herself to wear when they went out. She sewed dresses for her friends at Tiffany Mills. She sewed all my clothes when I was growing up. I never had a button, skirt, or dress. She sewed clothes for the whole family, matching shirts. One time, red plaid matching shirts, brick red, I still see them in my head, brick red with tiny lines of blue and yellow. All of us, the 7 of us, had the same shirts, and we wore navy blue bottoms with them. You can see that in the pictures as well. We would sit in church, we would kneel in church. You could just see us right down the line, all dressed. You knew we were part of the same clan. She still sews. She still sews for me. Emily, stand up. And Sophie, stand up. She made these beautiful party dresses. Can you turn around? She made them for this party. She still sews. You can sit down. She still sews pajamas. She sews quilts for babies she has not met. How many here have benefited from my mother's sewing? Look at those hands. That's incredible. People, she sews. Yards and yards of fabric have fallen to her needle, and I will tell you that there are yards and yards of fabric still in her basement, and she has plans for every piece of fabric. Because she is a cherry. She sews. Now we also know that